afternoon from Los Angeles, and welcome to Stock Market Today, sponsored by Interactive Brokers. On today's show, we're going to be taking a look at StoneCo as well as GSX and Palo Alto Networks. But first, let's take a look at those major indexes. It's Alyssa Corum here with Ken Shreve, and happy Friday, everyone. We did see stocks finish higher today across the board. The Dow with the strongest gain, up about 0.4%. The Nasdaq and the S&P, on the other hand, closed up about 0.2% each. But when you take a look at things on a weekly basis, we're taking a look at the Nasdaq down a smidge for the week, breaking quite a long streak of weekly wins.
Yeah. So we had 7 straight weekly gains for the Nasdaq, 6 for the S&P 500, and at last check, even though the win streaks were snapped, I think the indexes were only down about 0.2% for the week. But on a daily basis, looks like we ended with marginal gains up near session highs. So even though the win streaks were snapped, the weekly win streaks were snapped for the Nasdaq and S&P 500, it was considering where they've come since early October, it was really just a blip, very marginal weekly declines.
Yeah, that's right. And we are still hugging that 10-day line, so that's quite impressive as well.
Yeah.
And that's that green line on the chart there, everyone. Let's take a look at a few individual names, starting off with StoneCo. Now, this is a Warren Buffett stock, and a strong gain today for StoneCo, up more than 20% in heavy volume, blasting out of a base here on earnings, which showed bottom line growth of 70%, top line growth of 55%. Now, those were both slowdowns from the quarter before, but still really impressive growth.
Yeah, really solid growth story, still intact here for StoneCo, and a really nice breakout close near session highs and very heavy volume. So a lot to like about StoneCo's breakout today. The buy point here was just over 38. I think it was 38.47 was the entry point here. So we have a close of around 41.39. So it's pretty close to that top of that 5% buy zone. But everything about this breakout was solid. The stock just kind of strengthened throughout the session. And you mentioned a really solid earnings report. Brazilian financial technology company, obviously doing a lot of strong business.
Yeah, especially when you compare it to fellow Brazilian company in the same industry group, PagSeguro. So these two stocks moving in opposite directions here. But again, this is a Warren Buffett name, so that's interesting to note.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a really solid breakout, big annual earnings estimates for this company. So also like the fact that this is just a breakout from a very early stage base. It wasn't that long ago when StoneCo had their IPO, and like the early stage breakouts as opposed to the late stage ones.
That's a very good point there, Ken. And now let's pivot our attention to GSX Tech Ed. This is a name out of China in the online education space. And speaking of early stage moves, GSX went public over the summer, so this is still a pretty young name out there, but it tacked on a gain of about 15% today, also in heavy volume here. Now, we are seeing pattern recognition with a cup with handle here. It looks like it may have, moved into sell territory not too long ago on that. So with it rebounding higher today, where would the proper entry here be?
Yeah, I think we went with 1738, which is really the key resistance level at the stock top today. But GSX is one of several for-profit school stocks in China with outstanding fundamentals. Of course, New Oriental Education and TAL Education two stocks in China that are acting well after breakouts. But GSX is another early stage breakout here. They provide K through 12 online after-school tutoring services. So it's such a vibrant market in China. There's a lot of companies in this space, but it's such a big market that they're all thriving. So GSX is probably the most compelling because, like you said, it's a new issue. Came public in June at $10.50 a share, and nice breakout for that stock today as well.
Yeah, and it finishing close to the top end of its range for the day. So just reiterating here once again that that is definitely bullish action that we're seeing. And last but not least, we do want to take a look at Palo Alto Networks, which is in the cybersecurity industry group, and it is forming the right side of a base heading into earnings next week, Ken.
Yeah, earnings next week Monday after the close, and we have a shortened week of trading next week due to the Thanksgiving holiday. But so we do have a few technology names set to report, Burlington Stores in the retail sector, but Palo Alto is interesting here. A lot of these software stocks have been rallying back as this risk-on trade has gained traction in recent weeks, and so it's forming the right side of a base here. There was, looks like we possibly got a little handle area that formed this week, but definitely took a look at Palo Alto for a possible earnings option trade in the latest earnings preview column. At last check, it was a relatively cheap trade. We talked about it on IBD Live today. There are some yellow flags to keep in mind. Sales growth has been decelerating in recent quarters, and this was a long-time leader in the group that really settled into a long consolidation here. So some stocks have been breaking out to new highs. Palo Alto not yet, but we could see a nice earnings report Monday from this company.
All right, well, we'll definitely keep an eye on that. And that's a weekly chart that you saw there. And before we went live, we were talking about how the depth of this base, it's a little deceiving. It looks kind of deep, but the depth here is actually only 26%. So that's definitely well within the normal range of depth for a cut base like this.
Yeah, I mean, typically you don't want to see them correct more than 30%, so at 26% it's definitely inside that threshold, and some modest signs of accumulation as the right side of the base formed here, and you can see it closed slightly lower for the week, and that's going to end up giving a nice little handle entry, and it'll all be about what the company has to say Monday. Wouldn't be surprised to see a strong quarter here.
Yeah, that's right. It might be a quiet week overall, but this is one name that you definitely don't want to sleep on next week. So we'll be keeping tabs on that. All right, everyone, thank you for joining us today. And two quick announcements. In case you missed it, we do have a new episode of our Investing with IBD podcast out now. We drop a new episode every Thursday, and you can check out the latest episode now by heading to investors.com/podcast. And another reminder of our Can Slim Masters program happening the weekend of December 14th and 15th out here in Los Angeles. And you can find out all the information on that by going to investors.com/masters. It's a great annual event, but this is going to be the last one ever. We're going to make it the biggest and best one ever, that's no doubt.
Yeah, there's going to be great presentations from Scott O'Neill and portfolio managers Mike Webster and Charles Harris, and I mentioned yesterday that our own Chris Gessel and Justin Nielsen going to be taking a look at the year in review, and so it's going to be 2 packed days of great investing information.
That's right, and you will see other IBD folks there as well, yours truly included, so we definitely look forward to seeing you all there. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you right back here on Monday.